Hey, Bulls and Bears, how's everybody doing? Hope you're doing well. Back with another dose. BX4, bowl to the bust. Is that the other thing? Anyways, let's go ahead and get right into it. Economic news coming in fast and furious. And it's not looking too good, folks. Things continue to slow down dramatically. And I heard a couple commenters, or I read a couple comments rather, on this channel that gave some nice descriptions of what we're seeing in the economy. One of the descriptions was, this is an inflation-based economic growth environment. In other words, all the economic growth that's being put out under the gross domestic product and other categories that make it look like the economy is growing is because of inflation. For example, spending. Every month we're told, yeah, consumers are strong because they spent more. Well, they have to spend more. And people are taking out more and more debt in order to keep this economic illusion or economic growth growing, right? Look at the jobs numbers here. We have the weakest jobs report now since 2020, since the year of the global health crisis. And you're not going to believe this here. The categories and the contributors were the following. Healthcare. So in other words, more people getting sick, that's the best driver of the economy right now. The more people that get sick, the more healthcare needs arise. And now we have the most jobs created in healthcare and social assistance. Number 2, that's another not a good sign, right? And number 3 was, get this, government jobs. Government had the second highest gains, seeing jobs surge by 40,000 government jobs. So if it weren't for government jobs, people getting sick, people in need of social assistance, this economy would be done, folks, done. But if they can continue to pump enough money into the economy and continue to allow the banks to keep loaning out money, in other words, deregulation, then they can keep this thing going. The problem is the cost of living is going to continue to go higher and higher. And pretty soon it's going to be 80% of the people living paycheck to paycheck, 90% of the people living paycheck to paycheck. And it just keeps going. It keeps getting worse. More programs needed to be handed out to the people. We have more down payment assistance programs popping up here just this week, on top of the 2,000 plus that are already in existence right now across the U.S. And it's just going to get worse, folks. We'll talk about that here in just a few minutes. But wholesale trade was the third category for job growth. By the way, healthcare and social assistance, they lumped those together. That was the number one category with over 51,000 jobs created in October. Government, as I mentioned, over 40,000. Wholesale trade, about 10,400. Construction, 8,000. Information services, 3,000. And ones that actually saw a drop in jobs were the following. Manufacturing, minus 46,000. What does that tell you? That's a big slowdown in consumer demand right there. Professional and business services down 47,000. That's no wonder, with the most businesses going under and closing since 2020, right? So things are really headed off of a cliff very quickly. And I think the powers that be, the money printers, they got what they wanted. They wanted to keep this thing glued together at least through, today's the 1st, at least through a few more days here till we get past November 5th. It's exactly what they wanted, folks. And it's only a few more days that they have to keep this thing glued together, and then all bets are off after November 5th. And I think we're headed into a situation that we've never witnessed here for most of us alive right now. Something we've never witnessed. We're headed into a whole new system, a whole new paradigm that I don't think anyone can really wrap their heads around what we're headed into, because we're in a debt-based system right now, and it has to be changed because they can't just allow the people right now that are struggling, the paycheck to paycheckers, as I call them, they can't allow them just to continue going on like this, because it's not going to last. There's going to be a surge in bankruptcies, foreclosures, late credit cards, late car loans. And sure, they can keep throwing money at the problem, trying to cut interest rates, assistance programs, etc. But people can't take much more, folks. That's why you see so many social assistance programs in need. People are stressed out. People need social assistance and healthcare, because a lot of people are going crazy because of the debt. That's what I think. Healthcare and a lot of other things. People don't eat right. The food is crap. I could talk all day about that here, but let's go on to some other news here. And just to put out what I think might be good news if you're in the US, good news. Look what's happening in Argentina. At least we're not Argentina. Argentina cuts interest rates to 35% as inflation outlook eases. So prices are still going up, just not as fast. So the central bank over there, they're basically pretending that they won the war on inflation, kind of like they're doing here, but it's much worse over there. So they cut it to 35%, and at one point, it was 133%. The 500 basis point cut was the seventh time the policy rate had been lowered since President Milei took office in December, when it was 133%. While inflation remains above 200%, folks, monthly inflation has dropped to about 3.5% from over a 25% month-over-month increase at the end of 2023. So, folks, but it's still over 200%, and they're cutting rates. How crazy, how insane is that? Quote, the decision is based on the liquidity context and the drop observed in inflation expectations, the central banker said, unquote. Folks, the same junk they're doing here in the US. They're pretending the war has been won on inflation, when in reality, prices are still going up. Even worse in Argentina. So we've got it good here in the US, believe it or not. Even though most people can't really feel that, we're doing better than some of the other countries out there right now. And the meltdown continues in commercial real estate. We've been talking about this. We said it was going to continue to get worse. Look at this. Commercial real estate foreclosures soared by 48% nationwide. California, we saw a 238% surge. Commercial real estate. So what does that tell you? That tells you that California, we're leading the way. And if things play out like I think they're going to play out here in a few days, the rest of the country is going to start to look more like California. I repeat, the rest of the country is going to start to look more and more like California, because California policies are coming across the United States. If you know what I'm talking about, that tells you who I think is going to win here in just a few days, who's going to be taking office here. So we'll see. We could also see some heavy upheaval, social unrest. In our last report, we talked about how the buildings are being boarded up in D.C. They're preparing for something big. They're preparing for a massive amount of people that are going to be hitting the streets. And I think you know why. I think you're onto this just like I am here. So anyways, Alabama has the highest rate of personal bankruptcies. You would think that one of the southern states would be the lower cost of living down there, but Alabama has the highest rate of personal bankruptcies in the nation. What's going on in Alabama? This is out of AL.com. The state also has the third lowest average credit score in the nation. So what's going on in Alabama? I have no idea. It's a pay article. I'm not going to pay just to read what they're telling us there. Maybe some of you can let me know. Not a lot of jobs down there. Is that what's going on? You would think that being a low-cost state, more people would be flocking to Alabama. But obviously the economic conditions down there aren't doing too well. And the business closures continue to soar and skyrocket. Wendys shuttering 140 locations as the number of U.S. restaurant closings grows. National fast food company accelerates store closing timetable. I haven't been to a Wendys in a long time, maybe even years. So I'm sorry, Wendys, I let you down. And I'm the reason why you're having to close 140 locations. But don't worry, because we're headed for a soft landing. The economy's doing well, and that's why so many restaurants have to close down, right? Don't you know? The consumer is strong and resilient. Soft landing means a record number of restaurant closures, on pace, I should say, to meet or exceed 2020 levels. We'll see how it plays out, folks. I mean, this charade, how long can it last? Can it last much longer? And folks, if you didn't think it could get any worse, U.S. manufacturing activity just dropped to the lowest level of the year. As we're headed into holiday spending season, you would think it would be actually ramping up, but no, just the opposite, dropped to the lowest level this year. The Manufacturing Purchase Managers Index, also known as the PMI, came in at 46.5, which was below expectations and the lowest reading of the year. And that's in a new report that just came out from the Institute for Supply Management. Manufacturing Business Survey Committee Chair Tim Fiore said that this was the breakdown. And he also says we're, quote, into 26 months of a contraction in manufacturing. primarily driven by new order levels that are very subdued right now. Our backlogs at 25 months, contracting declines. We don't have an order book anymore. The order book has all been used up. He told that to Yahoo Finance. So pretty interesting how we're getting all this negative news, but yet everything's going to be fine. There's a soft landing, nothing to worry about. But we also need to cut rates at the same time. So if there's a soft landing, wouldn't we want to raise rates? Pretty interesting how that works, huh? And folks, to keep the housing market from completely imploding, look what they're having to do. Cross-country mortgage commits over $15 million to down payment assistance program. That just came out, announced today. Charitable fund launches down payment assistance program for county workers. That also came out earlier today. Folks, new ones popping up all the time to add on top of the 2,000 plus that are already in existence right now. Otherwise, the housing market would completely implode and you would have witnessed an economic decline like you wouldn't believe by now. If they can keep the housing market going, they can keep the illusion going for a very, very long time. But look at this. Consumer confidence surges as election nears, even while job openings move much lower. We talked about that with the different survey. There's another survey that says consumer confidence is surging. So why would it be surging a few days here before November 5th? Do people think that somebody's going to come in? Maybe it's your candidate, maybe it's the person on the left, maybe it's the person on the right. Either way, either one of them. You really think they're going to come in and change things for the better? And somebody else on this channel actually put another comment down there. They said, yes, it's a soft landing for the elite. It's a soft landing for the elite, the ones that control the money, the ones that get to pick and choose who gets the money, how it gets spent, how much gets created, where it goes. Those are the people getting the soft landing, folks. American consumers feeling much more confident as election day nears. So again, more, I think, hopium that somehow things are going to drastically change for the better. When I think things are going to continue just to get worse, folks. I actually feel sorry for the one that wins. And here's how bad the jobs added was. Look at this. 12,000 jobs added. 12,000 jobs added. And they're blaming this lack of jobs added a lot on the hurricanes and all the businesses that got wiped out because a lot more jobs were lost than the previous months, which subtracted from the jobs added. So 12,000, folks. That is very, very sad. That's a sad number. It's a sad state of the economy right now. But that's going to happen on a larger scale. There needs to be a much, much bigger and widespread crisis in order to justify the awful numbers here that are coming out here. And they'll justify they'll justify reasons to pump more money into the economy for more assistance programs. I think we're going to see the reemergence of the reemergence of foreclosure prevention, vehicle repossession freezes, so companies won't have to or won't be able to repossess vehicles. Credit card freezes where you don't have to make your credit card payments after this whole thing falls apart. U.S. economy grew at a rate of 2.8% in the third quarter, folks. Again, spending and debt created economic growth. You understand how this works yet, folks? I think most of you do. Please let me know what you think about all this down in comments. We'll see you all on the weekend, folks. I will be back with a couple updates because there's some housing news I wanted to get into, and some pretty interesting things are happening in the housing market. We're also going to talk about credit card spending, car repossessions, and more, all on this channel. Please make sure you are subscribed, and we'll see everybody very soon. Hopefully, come back for more. Keep stacking. Bye for now. Peace.